for the culture. They gon' bite like vultures. Do it for the...
This is all we've been seeing in the news lately. Young people dying, young black boys and even girls being shot in the streets of London. I was reading Met Police website recently, and after looking at several murder cases which have happened in the last year, I can see that the police are out of their depth. The statistics based on crimes solved compared to crimes still open is stupidly low, and as for the justice system, this has no justice at all. 6 months for carrying a knife, and that's after the 2-strike rule. Are you kidding me? What's 14 years for taking someone's life? A life for a life, ain't that the saying? Look at America. They're giving 12-year-olds life sentences. If the police can't stop the crimes, then the justice system needs to create a deterrent, something that makes these people think twice. 6 months for carrying a knife isn't enough. And then they're not even doing the time on a lot of the occasions. Recently I read 2,000 offenders a year are dodging jail despite a 2-strikes rule. Thousands of repeat knife offenders were spared prison last year despite the Tory 2 strikes and you're out pledge. Adults caught with a blade for the second time are supposed to be jailed for at least 6 months under new laws. But latest figures show that 1 in 10 people with a previous conviction for knife possession received a sentence other than immediate custody. In 2017, a total of 2,100 repeat offenders did not go to jail. Now, is this the example that the justice system is setting?
At 2 o'clock, police struggle to contain the violence after a third night of riots. They describe it as the worst in current memory.
London on fire, a wave of violence and looting raging across the city. Rioters.
The relationship between the police and youth has changed drastically since the London riots back in 2011.
The Metropolitan Police have described the riots as the worst in current memory. They first fled after a peaceful protest in Tottenham on Saturday over the fatal shooting of a man by police in London last week, but have since spread to other major cities in England too.
I learned a lot about each group just by watching the riots on the news and seeing the aftermath. The police didn't have any control and the youth didn't know how to use their strength for a real purpose.
This is what happens when a fear of the police evaporates. In Barking, this film shows a youth cowering on the ground, a pool of his blood on the floor.
The riots were supposed to be about the police shooting of Mark Duggan, but it became about sneakers, electrical gear, and rice. The police saw what the youth were capable of, and the youth saw what they could get away with, which is why we are where we are now.
My niggas the realest in town, you niggas are really some jokes, fucking jokes. Feds look bro, watching EastEnders is a fucking joke. Free bro.
The rising gun and knife crime in the UK has led to the police putting restrictions on the music that they say is partly to blame for this increase. Videos containing violent threats and messages from one gang to another. Drill music, a subgenre of hip-hop created in South Chicago. This has been blamed for the increase in crime here in the UK. So between the police and YouTube, they decided that it would make sense to take down half of the drill music videos from their website. Now I believe if a video which blatantly incites violence towards a certain person or group has been uploaded onto YouTube or any social media site, no, it needs to be taken down. But there's also social media in itself. And that's where a lot of the beef begins. Facebook, Twitter. It's a timeline of tragic events. One person disses another person, then another comes back with threats, which leads to people's prides being tested. They don't want to be seen as a punk and judged on social media. It's not about walking away. Before social media, you didn't have direct contact with your enemy as well. So unless you went looking for them, now it's a case of you just jumping on your phone and trolling your enemy. But what happens when shit really goes down? When you get shot or stabbed, where's your friend? Or when you stab or shoot someone, where's your friend then? When you're on that stand in court, is it gang gang? Or is it every man for himself?
My niggas the realest in town, you niggas are really some jokes.
And we can't blame the media or the police for everything. If we weren't killing each other, it wouldn't be in the news. We wouldn't be the news. But let's be real, this is deeper than the music. How can you blame something that is a result of what is happening? Art has always been about reflecting life. But why are these people using this route to express themselves, and why are they turning to this life? I can't excuse the things I've seen. Young men getting shot in their face just yards from where they live. 13-year-olds walking with their parents getting hit with pellets from a shotgun by accident. Is no one safe? Come on, man, we got to do better.
Two men have been killed in separate attacks within hours of each other in northeast London. One man died after a fight. The second was stabbed in Hackney yesterday evening.
The police are trying to blame other things rather than taking ownership of the fact that they're not doing what they need to do. Take the stop and search law, for instance. The police bring that in and then take full advantage and use the power they have irresponsibly. Stop and search has always been seen as something that was created for black people, along with the police gang Operation Trident. They create a team or bring in a new law which is supposed to be to help the black community, but it's simply about targeting them. If any group of people are involved in the crime, I get it. You have to do what you need to do. If stop and search is it, then so be it. But when a law makes it okay for someone to be stopped without any reasonable grounds, then that's when there's a problem with this law. The media jump all over this gang talk and negativize black people, not understanding that some of these people have been forced into this life by society. Where they live, where they go to school, where they hang out. It's about them being a product of their society. When you look at areas in London where there's a large amount of black people or underprivileged white people, you see that there'll be a nursery, primary, secondary school, all within a 1 to 3 mile radius. You'll even have a dentist, doctors, local supermarket, corner shops and a church. Even a bookies. Everything just to keep you in your area. Now, I'm not making excuses for some of the senseless killings and things that these young people get involved in. But there are young people out there who live in some not so privileged areas that have absolutely nothing to do with a gang, but can't get out of the rut because of the government. You got areas changing.
It's called gentrification. It's what happens when the property value of a certain area is brought down. Huh? You listening? Yeah. They bring the property value down. They can buy the land at a lower price. Then they move all the people out, raise the property value, and sell it at a profit.
And this gentrification is only making it worse because it's decreasing the boundaries, minimizing them, making them smaller. So before, when people had issues with people from different areas, there was a south divide, a north divide, east, west. Now you got a southwest, southeast, southwest. You got SW2 beefing with SW9. Like, everything's just become so close. And check, if you're a parent who wants to even for your child to do better, how do you get away from this? Even if you want your child to associate with a different set of people from who they live amongst, you've got the council school catchment policy, where your child can't go to a school a certain distance from where they live. This is deeper than the struggles of now. This is a struggle that has always impacted black people, no matter what country we're in. We've always had to work hard to be successful, and even when we get success, it's always clouded with negativity. This video isn't about making excuses for the youth. It's just to make people understand that it's deeper than being in a gang. It's about young people dying over foolishness, killed over a postcode, killed because somebody said some shit on social media and we feel like people have something to prove. Sadiq Khan and his government allies need to know that the kids out here need more than a tweet. The community halls, the youth clubs and playgrounds have all been taken away slowly. And to be honest, there's no point in bringing them back. What for? To be used as headquarters for gangs. We're living in a society where the kids have nobody to speak to, nobody to educate them and make them know that there's more to life than this. All they have is their peers, and their peers are on the same things that they're on. I was watching this ITV news clip recently with Sefton Henry from Gangline, and he said exactly what I've been saying.
They're opening hubs that people can drop into, organising marches, organising protests. So there is a lot being done.
I would differ, because that I don't call that as doing something. Building a hub is not going to stop me from carrying a knife. Building a hub is not going to stop me from carrying a gun. Marching along the streets is not going to stop me from selling drugs. You know, what's going to stop me from selling drugs is someone coming to me and having a relationship with me and talking to me and dealing with what's going on behind the closed door.
Now, I'm just going to finish this off just by just saying, you know what, we just need to do better as a group of people. We need to learn how to work together, because that's the one thing that's missing here, and it's the unity. In the meantime, subscribe to my YouTube page and leave your comments down below. Also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Culture Vulture.
Do it for the culture, culture. They gon' bite like vultures, vultures. Do it for the culture, culture. They gon' bite like vultures.